Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the last round of voting for the Goodreads Choice Awards. If you've been on this whole journey for me, thank you so much. I have had so much fun and discovered so many great reads. In fact, for this last round, I did indeed read the last 4 books I said I was going to. I made it through Homecoming, The Hurricane Wars, Study in Drowning, and Divine Rivals. And I'm going to give you little mini reviews as we go through, and you'll see if they have changed my votes or, in fact, gave me something to vote for now that Bring Me Your Midnight is gone. And I have yet to vote for a thriller because I have yet to find a 5-star thriller that Goodreads chose for their Goodreads Choice Awards this year. And I'm going to make some predictions and let you know what I think is going to win and what might crack the top 5, at least in the categories they stand a chance of actually, knowing anything about. Let's get going. As always, I'm clueless when it comes to nonfiction, memoir, autobiography, history and biography, and humor, so don't ask me, I don't know. And horror, yeah, no, I still sleep with a freaking teddy bear, so gonna pass on that one. But let's get going with fiction. You will see in my book haul that I bought a crap ton of suggestions from this category, which I'm really excited for. Pineapple Street, my goodness. Maybe they won't all be winners, but I'm sure some of them will be. In the last round, I voted for Yellowface in this category. R.F. Kuang, amazing, delightful, wonderful. This book had me laughing, rooting for a terrible human being, a terrible character. The commentary on the publishing world, absolutely wonderful. We do need to see so much more diversity, and our main character showed us exactly how not to get it done. It was wonderful, it was funny, it was tense, and I loved every minute. However, I'm switching my vote. I did not read a new book in this category, but when I thought about it, when I truly considered which book left me with a more lasting impact, as much as I loved this, as much as I could not put it down, as much as it was truly fantastic, it is The Wishing Game that is still in my heart and is still going to be the book that I remember as one of my golden books, as I call them, of the year. The book that I am just going to hold near and dear to me, that I am going to continue saying, you need to read this. This was one of those books that made me feel so much. I just remember discovering reading for the first time. I felt like a kid again. This was the one that just cracked my little heart wide open and made it glow. So I'm switching my vote. And I figure this way, Yellowface got 1 vote and Wishing Game gets 1 because the voting is cumulative, which I kind of hate. But we'll be talking all about my overall feelings in the Goodreads Choice Awards in the final video on it. So, my vote is switching up and going to the Wishing Game. And I do think Yellowface is going to win. And I think, however, I've heard nothing but good things about this book. And I think Wishing Game will crack top 5, she says, with so much gosh darn optimism and hope in her eyes. Okay. I think Mame is also going to crack top 5. I really do, because I heard nothing but good things about that book, and just look at that cover. My goodness. Historical fiction, I voted for Wayward, and I also started reading Did You Hear About Kitty Carr, which I'm really enjoying so much so far, but I did not finish it, so I can't fairly vote for it. But the writing's not as amazing. It is not sweeping me up. It is not enveloping me. It is not, well, sweeping me off my feet, quite frankly, like Wayward did. So I don't feel bad that I didn't get a chance to finish it. I'm going to enjoy it. I think it's great. But I'm getting weird feels. There's 3 modern sisters, and then you get flashbacks to who I think is going to be Kitty Carr's mom and Kitty Carr. And the 3 sisters remind me so much of like nicer Kardashian sisters. There's these super rich, super famous sisters. One's an actress. I mean, they're going on to do stuff, but like they're just super rich and kind of famous for being famous at first. So I don't know how much I love that, but some of it, I just don't think I'm to the really interesting, really gripping parts yet. So I'll keep you updated, but I am very glad that I get to continue to vote for Wayward because I loved this book so much. The descriptions of nature, all the witchy tidbits, and watching, 3 generations of women just discover their power and connections to nature and connections to one another in this Wayward cottage and the Wayward name, just, yes. Please. In terms of my predictions, I don't know this category well enough, but I do think we're going to see Lady Tan's Circle of Women break the top, and I do think the Covenant of Water might break the top. I'm hoping Wayward's going to break the top, and maybe The Wind Knows My Name. But that doesn't mean They're going to win because this is a popularity contest, and I'm not in circles that read tons of historical fiction. Okay, mystery thriller. So I want to thank Megan Clemens 9604. She, first of all, got convinced to pick up Bring Me Your Midnight, so thank you, thank you, thank you. She has said she hadn't read Kate Morton, but she heard her books have a gothic feel, and since she knows I liked Belladonna, she thought I might like it. So thank you so much for that, because I picked up Homecoming immediately, and then BM Van Loo jumped in and was like, you know what, I think it's more of a historical fiction literary than mystery thriller, but it was good, and she had a hard time getting into it, so she had returned to the library halfway through, but she still thought about it, and I was like, oh good, because the same thing happened to me. So here is my little story with Homecoming. When I was asking for recommendations, I was like, okay, give me your recs. It's between like this, Bright Young Women, and Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murders. And I was like, I can bang out one of these in like 3 hours. Just tell me which one to read. It'll be great. This behemoth is like 550 pages, and it is like literary, historical fiction, mystery. I mean, this hits so many different categories. And I read like the first like 30 pages waiting in another doctor's office, and I got home and I was like, I have no idea what I read. I retained nothing. Oh no, is this gonna be not a good one? But I was like, no, I'm gonna give it another shot. And I'm so glad I did, because once you start to get into it, and once you learn all of the characters' names, because there are so many characters, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And at first I thought it was kind of gonna be like, oh, you just see this thing that happened and you learn more about the families and the history, and it was just this murder that happened, and maybe you find out what happens and maybe you don't. No. We essentially are following a daughter who goes to visit her grandmother who is connected to the case, and she's a journalist, so she starts looking for articles. Then she finds a book was written about it, and instead of the author just being like, yeah, there is the book, this is what she read, the author goes and gives you full-on chapters from the book in the book. Who does that? Nobody, because it's too much work. This author does. It was amazing. A book in a book. Loved it. Loved it. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I kind of just thought, okay, we know, like, is it going to go unsolved? It's been unsolved all these years. Maybe we're never going to find out. Twist. Twist. Reveal. Reveal. Oh my god. By the time we got to the last little bit of the book, I just let my jaw stay open, because there was no point closing it again, because 2 pages later it was just going to drop again. I looked like a guppy. This hit. This was a good mystery. This was a great mystery. This was great historical fiction. This did a great job in terms of the actual literary choices it made. The writing was great. It had a lot to say about women's choices, women's roles, people's decisions about, you know, breaking up families, not breaking up families, keeping secrets, the way roles have changed, you know, people's postpartum depression, so many different things. I did not see this book coming. If it wasn't for the Goodreads Choice Awards, I don't know when I would have picked this up. If it wasn't for that recommendation, I don't know when this book was gonna pull off my shelves. I bought it on a whim. It was on like clearance sale. Meant to be. 5 stars. We got our 5-star. I get to vote for this book. And I do get what that one commenter was saying about it took a little bit to get into it, but if you're willing to put in that little bit of time in the beginning, the payoff is so worth it. I don't know how this book's gonna do in this category. I really, really don't. But this one gets my vote, and it got 5 stars. It really did. In terms of my predictions, I think this is Lisa Jewell's year. I think Lisa Jewell's going to take it. I think her biggest competition is probably Riley Sager. I don't think Frida McFadden's going to do it, even though her book, I think, won last year. I don't think she has the same momentum going for her because she lost a lot of readers in terms of just people who fell off the bandwagon. I think this is Lisa Jewell's year. I think None of This Is True is going to make it. And you know what? I almost gave this 5 stars. I'm not going to be mad if this wins. I think it was great. That's my guess. I talked about Homecoming for way too long. I know. If you can write a book and I can sit here and say I've never read anything quite like it, and I read over 200 books just this year, you deserve my vote. You deserve 5 stars. That's amazing. So if you really liked Belladonna and you like that gothic feel, this is a great thriller, but it's slow. It is slow. It is literary. It is more mystery than thriller. You're not going to get like that heart racing thing. But if you are the right reader for this book, oh, it was good. It was really good. Okay, next category, romance. Here we go. Okay, I fell super hard for 2 books in this category, but I ended up voting for The 7 Year Slip because I felt like what I fell for hardest in Happy Place was actually not the romance. And part of that is I just don't love the second chance romance trope. This was done particularly well. The gap wasn't too long between the characters. The reason they broke up made a lot of sense, and it was feasible for them to get back together at the point that they did and for the reasons that they did. So I will say, as far as second chance romances go, this one at least was done very well, but it wasn't the romance that I fell in love with. It was the themes of friendships evolving and growing apart. You know, that's what hit hard for me. So again, I will be voting for The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston because I honestly think she is just kind of my romance author at this moment, which is surprising given that she does very little smut. But what she does right is emotional as well as physical. So my vote again is for The 7-Year Slip. But my predictions, I'm predicting the top 5. I'm going to be really, really bold with romance because I have some pretty darn strong opinions for this year. So I think Happy Place is going to win. But I think 7-Year Slip, I'm saying it, is going to crack top 5. I think Yours Truly is going to crack top 5. I think Love Theoretically is going to crack top 5. And then I think it's either going to be Things We Hide from the Light or Powerless. This is the safe choice, but I feel like a lot of people did not like this nearly as much as book 1. And then Elsie so far, I feel like she is just coming up from behind real hard and strong. But I didn't hear people say that this was necessarily their favorite of hers. So I don't know. I'm really, really curious to see where this goes, but I feel pretty strongly that we're definitely going to see these guys and Yours Truly in the final 4 at the very least. Best Romantasy. So glad I read this. I ended up reading so many books in the last video for this. This is one of the most beautiful books that I own in my whole entire library. I love it to itty bitty pieces. Like, this is my aesthetic in a nutshell. If I could have the artist come in and just paint my bedroom like this would be it. So I read it. It is long. I got a comment from someone I definitely recognize. Krista Clarence, 7420. Hey girl. No, she was like, so I'm reading it. I'm like, not getting it. I'm like 40% of the way through. Are you seeing something I'm not? Like, what are you thinking? And I was like, oh crap. I'm on like page 90 and I am hating this book. So I went back and like looked up the book. Apparently it's based on Star Wars fan fiction. So I went back in and was like, okay, these are airships. We're using magic instead of like swordy light things. I don't know what they're, the light swords. We're not using those. We're using magic, and the magic like weapons can change into shields or whatever weapons you want them to be. It's super fun. And I was miserable, and it was like all generals and warriors and like war language. I was not enjoying myself. The writing was very like dry and war, and they're fighting, and they meet right away, the two who are very clearly going to be these two, okay? And all of a sudden she's like, but I couldn't stop thinking about him. I couldn't help but wondering, did he hold back? But why would he hold back when he was fighting me? And I was like, oh no. First of all, that was the very beginning of the whiplash. Ow. Okay, yeah, I can't actually do that. The whiplash that I was going to experience for hundreds of pages of back and forth between this like fighting serious magical world in which there is this war for like the entire planet, and then this ridiculous teenage written romance. Do you know what it was like reading? Pretend you're in high school and you're in like AP English class and you don't have to take any tests for the entire year if you write a book. A boy and a girl get paired and you're like 15, 16, and you just pass a phone or a tablet or a computer, whatever, back and forth and write a book. And the boy writes half and, you know, the girl writes half, at least for the first half of the year. And the boy's writing all the like the war-y stuff and the girl's writing this like angsty stuff. And then, you know, by halfway through the year, the girl's writing more. And then by the end of the year, the girl just takes over the project and it's all angsty romance stuff. That is this book. That was the experience of reading The Hurricane Wars. I hated this book. At least by the end, the tone finally stayed consistent. There was no more of like the general war fighting. It was just the two of them angsting at one another. And like, I enjoyed it a lot more because I knew what I was getting. And I was fine with what I was getting, and it felt like a Kindle Unlimited read, and I enjoy those from time to time, so that was fine. But my God, all the hype. This book was one of my most anticipated books of the year. This is one of my most beautiful books that I own. This is like a 2-star read for me. And I love Romantasy. You see the books that I love. Fourth Wing was 5 stars for me. Chris Broadbent, I'm anticipating is going to be a 5-star for me. Assistant to the Villain was 4 stars. I enjoy Jennifer L. Armentrout very much. I don't need brilliant writing. I will assess the book based on what I'm told it is, based on what it's supposed to be, based on what it's aiming to be, based on what it's advertised as. I don't even know what this was supposed to be. So, the Just Not Air continues to get my vote and continues to deserve my vote. Why and how this made it to the second round, I have absolutely no idea. And I know what I said was really, 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 really harsh, but this was just like derivative fan fiction, whatever. Wow. I was just really disappointed. I was really looking forward to this. I had no idea it had anything to do with Star Wars, and I was genuinely confused by a lot in this book because I feel like you needed to know some stuff from Star Wars to maybe understand exactly what was going on. I was just, oh, this was not it. So my predictions. Just said, I still can't say right air. I hope this does well because this is probably the best written thing left in this category. Now, I haven't read everything. The Hanging City could end up being a shocking, amazing, brilliant read. I do plan on reading it. I'm looking forward to it. I actually dressed, by the way, to match the Just Air as best I could. It's not gold, it's kind of brown, but I think it kind of works for luck. That worked so well for Bring Me Your Midnight. So maybe I've jinxed it. Fourth Wing's going to win. I even bought like a flashy like metallic gold shirt to wear for when we get our results because it's gonna win and we all know it, and that's fine. I did give it 5 stars. I did have a great time. I did really enjoy it. I do appreciate that someone in chronic pain finally gets to be the hero instead of the damsel in distress, and I cried reading this book watching that. But I know it's already gonna win, so it doesn't need my vote, so I don't have to make any hard decisions that way. I think The Ashes and The Star-Cursed King probably gonna crack top 5. I think we're going to probably see one of JLA books crack top 5 unless the vote splits. Other than that, I'm not sure. I was so thrown when I saw what came through in the Romantasy category from top 20 to top 10. I feel like I know nothing now. So, fantasy. I did not read any more books in this category because nothing was gonna beat Emily Wilde. Where are you, Emily Wilde? I love you so much. This book just is one of my favorite fantasy books, I think, of all time. This gave me everything I wanted. The romance was great. The fairies were great. The fairy tale aspect of it was great. The writing was great. The lore was great. The setting was great. The dog was great. Every aspect of this book was great. It gave me everything I thought it was going to give me, and then it took it a step further and gave me things that I didn't dare wish for. And God, I just can't wait for the sequel. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. So much, Heather Fawcett. I loved this book with my whole heart. So you get my vote. Other books that I think we're going to see in the top 5. I think I took Tress downstairs already. I think Tress is going to definitely crack top 5. Absolutely. Brandon Sanderson fans, do your thing. I think we're going to see Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi crack top 5. And I think we're going to see Day of Fallen Night crack top 5. Other than that, I'm not sure, especially because Starling House and Swordcatcher came out so very recently. I want to say maybe V.E. Schwab, but you had to read A Darker Shade of Magic first, and Hellbent is also a sequel. I would love to see Bookshops and Foam Dust win. I would, because I'm getting a special edition of it. So that would mean really good things. But we will see. Science fiction, can't vote for, but I think In the Lives of Puppets might win, and if not, will crack top 5 just because of the broader appeal of TJ Klune. I think it's less scary for more people because he's coming from the fantasy world. So he's going to have that wider appeal. Horror, I can't even look at the covers without running in fear. Do I dare make a prediction? No, I don't. I know nothing about this. Now, so Bring Me Your Midnight didn't make it, and my heart got a little broken last week. That meant that I had to read more books. Foxglove is a 5-star, so I could very easily vote for it. I love Adeline Grace. I didn't think it was quite as perfect as Belladonna, but I loved Foxglove. It's a 5-star. Then I read Divine Rivals, which everyone in my comments was like, you're gonna love it, it's gonna be great, definitely read it, and y'all were right. Every time you guys recommend me a book, it's 5 stars. So recommend me more books, please. I love the 5 stars. Keep them coming. It was beautiful. I don't call 5 stars early because anything can happen in a book. But I was on page 70 something. They were writing letters to one another. If you don't know, they write letters back and forth. I think you've got mail. And they were writing letters about how we wear armor and you hide yourself beneath that armor, and people just see what they want to see shining back at themselves from the reflections of that armor. And Iris was saying to our main guy, Roman, maybe the secret is, if you want to be a little more vulnerable, just take off one piece of armor for one person. And I was just like, okay, this is going to be a 5-star. You're also probably going to make me cry, which it did. But wow, this was beautiful. The romance was wonderful. And I think that's the secret to all these books. This romance doesn't feel too young. This romance was deep and abiding, and it felt like a love for the ages, and you knew they were soulmates. You just knew these two just were meant for one another, and their love was so deep, and there was nothing that either of them did that was stupid or jeopardized their relationship for a dumb reason. It was just so well done, and I loved the world. The world that they're in is, yes, it feels like World War II very much, but it's caused by a god and a goddess, and the goddess is the goddess of music, and anytime you put music in something and start bringing in songs, you can feel the build for this world, and I'm so excited for the sequel, you guys. I'm so excited. I loved this book very, very much until the very, very end. I hated the end of this book. And I know it's supposed to be a cliffhanger. I get it. I understand, but I don't like the direction it went. I don't want to go in that direction. I just don't want those complications. Is that stupid because there would be a second book? Maybe, but I don't think Rebecca Ross needed those complications to make a compelling second book. That was my complaint with this book, which is so stupid. I'm going to read it. I'm going to love it. This was 5 stars. I loved almost every single thing about this, and I'm complaining about a cliffhanger. I loved this book. It was amazing. I cried. I just fell in love with these characters. Thank you to those who recommended it. Yes, it was wonderful. Did it beat Bring Me Your Midnight? No. Then I picked up, with very little hope, A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. And I gave this edition so much crap because it looked so faded, and I was like, this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I don't love the edition that I got, and I'm really disappointed. I like the sprayed edges though. Like, they go all the way around. They don't do that anymore. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm still really excited to read this book about a girl who falls in love with the story of a fairy king and goes off to, work on fixing the house of the author who has passed as an architecture student, and going there and working with a literature student and, discovering maybe some secrets about him, and, maybe there's some really dark something lurking in his house. I don't know what. You guys, whoever wrote the description of this book did it such a disservice, it's not even funny. It does not come close to describing what this book is or what this book does. This is so much more than I could have possibly expected it to be. This is a true fantasy world. This is not like our world and they go off and like it's kind of fantasy. No, this is a true fantasy world. This is so beautifully written. This takes on gender roles. This takes on past trauma. This takes on mental health. This was an incredible, incredible read. The romance was amazing. You spent half the book so unsure with this narrator, and normally I hate unreliable narrators, I do, but you spent just so much time so unsure, and she was so unsure. What was real? What was not? Is she seeing things? Is she not seeing things? And then she's there slowly starting to fall in love with this guy, but she cannot trust men based on her past. Her own family has destroyed her trust in humanity. Your heart breaks for this main character. This house, the descriptions are wild. It is literally drowning. The title, I can't even read A Study in Drowning without getting shivers because it comes back to haunt you time and time and time again. And just when you think you fully understand it, no, it's back. And the last line, I'm still thinking about it. This is my 5-star. This is where my vote is going. This at least ties with Bring Me Your Midnight. This was haunting. This was beautiful. If you love the labyrinth style Fairy King, if you love gothic reads, if you liked Emily Wilde but wish it just went and flipped and went super dark, this takes everything I love, puts it into one book, and then says, and now I'm going to give you the most beautiful writing, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to rip your heart out because this character was slowly destroyed by everyone around her. And I'm going to let you slowly watch her find a way out of all of this darkness and fall in love. I am so sorry for any crap I gave this book, because now this cover, this faded, falling, stormy, this is the atmosphere. If you love that mist, fog covered, you never know what's going to happen next, you never know what's going to come out of that fog, you never know what's going to come out of the sea. Is the Selkie going to appear? Is the Fairy King himself going to appear? You never know. If you love that kind of atmosphere where anything is there lurking in those waters, in that mist, in that creepy seaside town, it wasn't done better in The Wicked Deep, and I loved that book, and it was not done better in Spells for Forgetting, and I loved that book. This was incredible. Absolute 5 stars. This is getting my vote. For my predictions, probably The Stolen Heir is gonna make top 5. Divine Rivals is winning. A Curse for True Love will make it. Probably Chain of Thorns is Cassie Clare. Yeah. Those are going to be our big hitters for sure. I hope A Study in Drowning makes it, because it was incredible, and anyone else who read it probably gosh darn voted for it. Next category, young adult fiction. My book is already out. I am guessing we're going to see Allie Hazelwood is maybe going to take this, which is wild to see her probably coming in at least top 5 and young adult and adult, which is amazing. Good for her. Maybe Talia Hibbert. I really don't know. Probably Holly Jackson. You know what? 5 Survives is going to come in the top here too. We'll see who else. I don't know. Maybe Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but I feel like she's coming to a stop on that coast with her series there, so I can't wait to see what she does next. I hope she does something really great. Debut. All right, I had to decide between Wayward and The Wishing Game here, and I stand by my ultimate decision because the book that I just love so much is The Wishing Game. I love this book with my whole heart. I think it's just absolutely wonderful. So this is the one that's going to get my vote. In terms of what's going to win, I hope it's The Wishing Game, and I think it stands a chance. Mommy is probably going to come up in there. I'd love to see Wayward in there. I really don't know how to predict this category just because I have not read enough books in it. So that is the end for me. Thank you so much for joining me. I had so much fun shooting this video and making my predictions. We will see how I did in just a few days. I can't wait to find out. But I will let you get back to your book and I will get back to mine. I am hitting the holiday reads hard and I can't wait to start sharing them all with you. I am going to finish. Did you hear about Kitty Carr first though? Gotta be kind to Kitty Carr and see what I have to hear about her. Thank you so much for joining me and I will see you next time. Bye guys.